Okay, Joe.
Okay, Mayor, the meeting is yours.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to the Vinton Town Council for this Tuesday evening, August 16th, 2022. Susan, if you would call the roll, please.
Councilmember Lyles.
Here.
Councilmember Stovall. Here. Vice Mayor McCarty.
Here.
Mayor Gross.
Here. And of course, we're missing Councilmember Lori Mullins this evening. She never misses. She's always very faithful, and she works hard. Unfortunately, Lori's sick. She's got COVID, so I guess it's okay for me to say that. I just broadcasted it to the world. Sorry, Lori. But anyhow, she would be here. She's always in attendance. We will miss her this evening. Folks, in just a second, I'll ask you to stand for the next two items. That's our moment of silence. We use moment of silence here in Vinton so that everyone can pray or meditate as they see fit. In your prayers and thoughts, if you would keep this country, this community, and certainly this council meeting in your thoughts and prayers, we'd appreciate that. While we're standing, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, and our council member Lyles is in charge of that. What you going to do this evening?
Since we all had our bellies full and I took a little break, I think I'll just do it myself.
All right. That's quite a challenge. No. So if you'll stand for those two items, please.
Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, folks. And with that, we'll move on to our upcoming community events. Vice Mayor, what's going on?
A lot. We've got a lot going on. On August the 27th, the Vinton History Museum is having a yard sale, and on September the 5th, they will be closed for Labor Day. Today, the Par Mobile Golf was set up at Twin Creeks Brewery, so hopefully we'll be able to go do that sometime. They'll have it on night that they don't have town council. That sounds like fun. Twin Creeks also has bingo on Wednesdays and trivia night on Thursdays. This Saturday, Jody Enzer will be live on the dock from 6:30 to 9:30. Rosie's has special music on August the 19th by Star City Swag at 8 p.m. and also on August the 20th with Vinyl Nation at 8 p.m. August the 20th is the last of the season cruise-in at the Farmers Market from 3 to 7 p.m. So come park or ride through town and enjoy some 70s music. On the 21st, the Vinton Area Chamber of Commerce presents Sunday Fun Day for the Vinton Palooza. That's at the Vinton War Memorial on the front lawn from 1 to 6. There will be yard games, a beverage garden, Jared Stout Band, and the Kings. It's $10 at the gate to get in, and children 12 and under are free. And then August the 27th, there is another mingle at the market. That is Town of Vinton Night. So you will see lots of folks there that work for the town or are on council. It's $5 at the gate. Beverage garden, food trucks, and music that night is by Fuzzy Logic. And also kids under 12 are free. And next month, I hate that Lori's not here because hockey starts. So I have a lot to talk about there. But I think that's all unless someone has something that I missed.
Any other activities you'd like to announce? Okay, I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. By the way, I forgot to mention, as you folks know, I think everyone here is familiar with our guidelines for participation, but there's always a copy of them at the door if you need to refresh your memory on that. And with that, we'll move to the order of the agenda. Council, is there anything we need to postpone or add to the agenda? Staff, no? Hearing nothing, we will move on to the consent agenda. And tonight, the consent agenda contains the minutes of the regular meeting of July 19th, 2022. Are there any changes or additions? Hearing none, we will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor to accept the agenda and a second by Councilmember Lyles. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, and now to the best part of the meeting, the awards and presentations. And Chief Drummond, I think you're listed first on this thing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. Today, we had the privilege of and honor of both promoting and transferring several key personnel in our police department. We had that ceremony at our beautiful grounds at the War Memorial with a very nice dinner. The following officers were either transferred or promoted to different positions within the police department. Officer William Holland was transferred to the Community Resource Officer position, where he'll work with our community members, school systems, and interdepartmental relationships within the Services Division. We have one detective that has been transferred to the task force position. We have Officer Justin Baker, who is now a detective in criminal investigations. We have Detective Corporal Chapman, who was transferred to the Criminal Investigations Division. Corporal Christopher Shively, who will stay in the Patrol Division and act as First Line Supervisor Corporal. And we have 3 new sergeants. We have Sergeant Brandon Alterio, Sergeant Andrew O'Connor, and Sergeant Jeremy Shrewsbury, who will all be assigned to the Patrol Division. And this is, we're not done yet. We have a lot of good news to share with you all. As you could tell from earlier in the day, it was a quite joyous event with lots of family. And I imagine they're still out celebrating, of course. And it was a privilege and honor to be able to promote these officers and see their growth. I'm beyond blessed to be a part of this opportunity. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, sir. And indeed an honor to attend the ceremony this afternoon. I'll be honest with you. We all feel so blessed to have our police department. We know you guys work hard and you do a great job, and we appreciate you so much. But this afternoon was really special. It was a great example of why we like to live in Vinton and really why we like to live in this country. So thank you guys, the entire department, for the job you do every day. We appreciate you guys so much. Council, did y'all want to make any comments on this afternoon?
I thought it was a very, very nice way of recognizing, other than just getting up here and get to, we involve families, and that's what this town is a big family, and they're part of it. And so to be able to sit down, have dinner together, and watch all the recognition and promotions, it was like family. So, yeah, thanks for doing that, Chief. It's a good tradition to start.
Thank you, sir.
That was very nice. I look forward to attending in the future. And kudos to you, because that's a reflection of your leadership. So
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
appreciate that.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Let me try one more time. I feel like Councilman Lyles has got his hands around my throat. Anyway, yeah, it was a great event, great time. I know it was new to you, but and you started that, but yeah, to recognize them and let them know, and for them to work hard for that accomplishment, because it's not easy doing interviews and reading up and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it was a great afternoon.
It was a privilege, and of course, it's especially special when we get to include family members who are a big component in law enforcement. A lot of sacrifice goes on the personal level with our, the demands of the job. So it was absolutely honorable to have them there and put a badge on those officers.
Yeah, that you're right. That was quite significant, because obviously it's not just the officers, but the entire family, is affected by their profession and what they do. And we not only appreciate the officers, but their family as well. And you're right. It was a family event. It was great. Great. So, okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, and so with that, we'll move on to recognition of those who assisted in the recent fire here in town. Mr. Peters.
Thank you, Mayor Gross, members of council. On July 2nd, the town experienced a pretty tragic event where DR Music, as you know, caught fire, and that building has since been demoed, and we have a couple others still in the works. On August 2nd, we actually had a recognition of the fire and first responders who attended that fire and helped evacuate some of the residents of the structure and to secure the perimeter of the site. What I wanted to do this evening was recognize some of our own town employees outside of the others that have already been recognized, but some of our own employees who responded that evening, I guess early that morning, I should say, and throughout the day, there was quite the presence of town staff there, and continue in many cases to continue to support the owners of those structures and the parcels that were affected. So what I'd like to do is call each of them and have them come up to the front, and so we can thank them for their service. I sincerely appreciate what they did. They sprung into action without requests. It was just what they knew to do, and they worked as long as it took to get the job done, and as they always do. But I appreciate this. It was a holiday weekend, and it was a unfortunate experience, and I'm sure they had probably plans with their families and such on that weekend, and we are already asking them to work on the 4th of July for the town's festivities, which they all enjoy doing. But we just wanted to recognize them for their extra efforts that day when we needed them the most.
Yes.
At first, I'd like to recognize Cody Sexton and Donna Collins. Community Programs Director Chastity Barber, who couldn't be with us this evening, from the Police Department. Chief Drummond, Detective Corporal Silas Chapman, who I believe is not able to be here this evening, Sergeant Andrew O'Connor, Officer Brandon Settles, and Officer Milton Clark. And from our Public Works Department, the Director, Bo Herndon, Jason Davison, Jimmy Brown, Thanks Bradford, the best street sweeper in the Roanoke Valley, and Kevin Orange.
Well, lady and gentlemen, we certainly want to express our appreciation for all your extra efforts. And I got a feeling there's some reluctant heroes up here, you know. So we do appreciate you stepping outside of your normal bounds and coming by to see us. And I've been told that each council member would like to shake your hands. So if you guys don't mind coming by so we can shake your hands, we'd appreciate it. Thank you, folks, so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Cody.
Thank you.
Yes,
Sir, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You like it? Hey, before you guys, congratulations.
Thank you, bud. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Hey, man, how are you? Thanks.
Right in the middle of it.
I think she wants to get y'all's picture.
Good job.
Always.
Should we stand up behind him? I'll let you do something.
Let's get it.
Good job. Thank you.
Don't mess up the picture, Milton.
I don't think you're gonna see us.
I don't know if they're going to get us or not.
Well, we might. So
Do it.
Just find your spot.
Now. So I'm gonna have to talk to this.
Thank you.
we smiled.
You knew what to do.
Yeah, that is important.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that is good.
They usually don't. I know.
Again, thank you, folks. We appreciate it.
But we had to have a couple jobs. I'll go get some. I got it with honey. Just take a second. What is it? I'll get it. I have a picture.
I'll take them over. Last thing I want to do is see the mayor down in my mouth.
You might be in trouble, brother, because I don't know if that was going to happen. Oh, my goodness.
Make y'all happy because I'm going to be able to talk.
All right. We certainly do appreciate all those that made an extra effort. You know, an incident like that really reveals the character of the people in town and on staff. So while it was very tragic and unfortunate, we did get to see a lot of good come out of that, and that a lot of people really stepped up to bat. So thank all of you for that. Okay, the next section is citizens' comments, and this is reserved for comments that's not listed anywhere else on the agenda. So is there anyone you'd like to say anything tonight? If so, please step up to the microphone. Susan, I think you already have their names.
She
and-
signed the sheet. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah, all right. Good evening, Debbie.
Good evening. I'm Deborah Brogan. I'm a citizen of Vinton. Grew up here, went to school here, live here, have children here. First, I'd like to say some good things. I appreciate everything you do for especially our police officers. I think we have a good batch, and it's nice to see them out there, and they all seem to be fairly pleasant. You know, just on an everyday thing, and I enjoy always talking to them when I have the opportunity. And it's very nice to know that you always put them first, and that you do the best you can for them, because they do need that, them and their families.
Yes.
And I do appreciate all the other people rallying around the fire. And I think we do have people, all of the people in Vinton are pretty much like that. When there's a call for help, most people come out and help everything they can.
You're right.
I have just a couple of little things. My first little trivial problem was that when I called the town of Vinton for help this year during tax season, and I try not to call here for anything unless I absolutely have to, believe me. I try not to be one of those naggy people or people that bother people, but when I need something, I call. And I had a question about taxes. Simple question. I didn't think it was a hard question, but the person that answered the phone, without any question of trying to find the answer, said, "I'm sorry, we don't do taxes, we just collect them. You'll need to call Roanoke County." And I was really upset because I pay my Vinton taxes. And the question I had was very simple. I thought, and when I called Roanoke County, they thought very strongly that Vinton should have known the answer to that little question I had. And the person that answered didn't even make an effort to say, "I'm not sure about that, but let me check." You know, that kind of situation. I was just brushed off. I said, "Thank you. I'll see if I can find somebody that does know the answer to that question." But I was very put off that that person didn't at least try. I mean, most people in an office setting that deals with people like that would have at least tried, I think, and that's what they should do. So I'm just registering my little bit of complaint, and I know you get new people in and out, and I'm not saying it was a new person or old person or whatever that as far as experience. I'm just saying I think that people that work here need to be more considerate or more thoughtful when they deal with the people that call for questions. If they don't know the answer, I'm okay if they don't know it, but try to find it for me, or say, you know, but just don't pass me off to Roanoke County right off the bat.
Gotcha.
And my biggest concern, as I usually read the Vinton Messenger quite faithfully, and I don't get to the county meetings like I'd like to get to, but it's just because usually in the afternoons is when we do things outdoors, because during the day, especially in the summer, it's too hot for, people of my age to be working in the heat and that kind of stuff. So I dragged my husband in his work clothes. He was outside, and I said, "Oh my God, get up here. We've got to go." You know, and that's just when we do a lot of stuff at home. And that's why I miss a lot of them. And I had to set my clock, my phone, or I'd have never remembered it tonight, and that kind of thing. But information that we get about this Washington Avenue and the bike lanes and taking it down from 4-lane highway that we fought years for to get a 4-lane highway in Benton. It was miserable getting around here with that 2 road for all those years. And we got this nice road over here on Virginia Avenue that they both, not all day, I mean, most roads don't all day unless it's an interstate or whatever, stay constantly busy. But they both stay pretty busy. And at work time in the mornings and work time in the afternoon, we all sit in long lines if we're in one of those lines someday on Virginia Avenue or whatever to call it. I mean, it's Walmart. You can start sitting back at Walmart to get through here. And here you go way back almost to King Street or further back. These are things that when I read articles, I think somebody here has taken very lightly to what all that stuff has meant. I need somebody, and I was very fortunate. I had said something, and I guess it got back to Mr. Peters, and he called and asked for his secretary, or I don't know what you call it, assistant, or whatever they're called nowadays, called and he invited me in. And we had a nice long visit, my husband and I, and I really appreciated that because I finally learned what was going on. Not enough information goes out about this. And all these people and on Facebook and all these other social media, all they get is snips. And they don't get enough information. And then everybody's up in flames and screaming and hollering and, oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and nobody asked me this and nobody asked me that. And it's like, oh my God, you know, everybody feels awful. You know, nobody said anything, nobody did this. And I know you try to do your best to say things, and I realize you did have a meeting, you know, at the War Memorial about Washington Avenue and that kind of thing. But, and I know I don't think it's unrealistic. I think it's just a way we have to do better and improve on this. But the people of Benton need to know clearer and more complete information before it's published or before it's put out. Don't just say, we're thinking about a roundabout at a corner of where 24 and Hardy Road, you know, whatever. Oh, well, people automatically, you know, oh, God, now they're going to do that. Well, you know, thinking about means you're going to do it. That's how people see it. Yeah. You know, you just got to, somewhere, somehow, it's got to be either don't say it at all or tell it all because it just inflames people's attitudes about what's going on. And I'm not the Joan of Arc or whatever it is here that it is, but I've had so many people come to me and say, you know, this is a done deal. You know, they're talking about grants, they get the grant, and they're not going to go. We have no say, whatever. And I felt that way too until I talked to Mr. Peters, and he says everything is still in beginning phases. Nowhere did it say everything is still in the beginning phases. This is just things we're talking about. This is things that's going to, you know, could happen, you know, la, 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 la. And, you know, it could all happen. And I'm not a person that doesn't want to have good things happen. And I don't mind a roundabout. I mean, I go through lots of roundabouts over Colonial Avenue and Garden City and all that. But a roundabout is good when it's in a good place. Not, you know, the tractor trailers knock down the sign like crazy at CVS all the time now. You know, we have a lot of tractor trailers that go through here. And there's a lot of things we really have to sit and think about before we do all this kind of stuff. And I think that's what people are afraid of, that you're not taking all this into consideration. And I just would like for the council and the town and everybody to think before they put out listenability things and try to inform the citizens better so that people aren't in a outrage. And I felt that outrage, I'll be honest with you, because I thought, I could just see the roundabout at Hardy Road, you know, I could just see it now. And I thought, you know, the bank's going to have to go, CVS is going to be up, you know, it's going to be huge in order to get tractor trailers swinging around through there and, you know, trying to get around those curves and back and forth. And I just thought, you know, put it downtown Benton, you know, if you want to do something around about, get rid of some of those, all those little traffic lights all over the place. But anyway, I don't want to keep going on, but my whole thing is we have to do better with communicating with the citizens of the town of Benton. And I've had a lot of people that aren't actually in the town limits, but they live in the area and go communicate and all, and they don't like that they don't have a say. You know, and I say, I can't help you, you know. You can go and you know, to the meetings and put in input or whatever, but as far as, you know, I don't know what to say to those people because I don't know if they have rights or not rights, but I don't know if it also, and I didn't think to ask Mr. Peters, but I don't know if somebody asked me, they said, well, aren't streets and signs and all that kind of thing also part of the state or the, you know, county, since we also run a county? And I don't know. So anyway, I would just, that's my one major gripe, that I would really like for you to do better on communicating when you're doing projects. If you could give a little bit clearer thought to it instead of just snips around where it inflames people's
Right.
whatever.
Gotcha. I hear the message loud and clear, Debbie. Gosh, we could spend a lot of time on this, and maybe we should, but because it's important. And it's amazing to me, Council, by the way, I'll give you folks an opportunity to comment too if you'd like. It's amazing to me that in this day of social media and all the things we got going on, we still have challenges with communication. And I think sometimes our biggest challenge is we do want to get the information out there quick and as much of it as we can, because we rely upon our bosses, our citizens, to tell us how they feel about it. And sometimes, you know, we might get the cart before the horse and everything, but the bottom line, you know how that goes, but the bottom line is we do want input. And these procedures typically, you know, once we announce it, we typically will have several public meetings, as we will with this one, you know. And I'm sure you've been to a lot of those meetings. Several years ago, we had quite a few of them, and we're actually doing things in town. We had meetings about as much as 8 or 9 years ago. And so that's the process. We will have meetings because we want input from our citizens, obviously, you know.
Well, I talked with Mr. Peters in depth, and I really appreciated spending the time and knowledge that he shared. And we went over about, you know, different things, so I'm not going to spend your time more. I'm sure he'll share it all with you. But I really appreciate you listening to me, and I just would like for you to take that, you know, into consideration, and that people, they want this information more, be able to get this more, and they're like, you know, they're not, I'm sorry, they're just not going to come to these council meetings. A lot of them aren't. they may say, I don't like it and I don't want to do about it, but a lot of them just don't have the time. Their work days, nights. Some people work 2 jobs, they have kids. You know, it's just, life is just not fair right now, you know, all the
I
way
hear
around.
that. I hear that.
And
Yeah.
you just sort of have to pick and choose. But anyway,
Yeah.
we just got to give them more chances to put in their word.
I got you, Debbie, and I appreciate you coming tonight. We, as you know, we try. We certainly have a web
appreciate all-
page.
I know you got a thankless job. I appreciate everything you do, and I understand you
Yeah.
have things that you have to do. I'm just here saying, I told him I would come. Even after I talked to Ms. Peters, I told him, I said, now I still have to go,
Right.
until, even though I feel much better.
Okay.
I said I was coming to this meeting, and I'm a woman of my word. If I say I'm coming, so.
I know you did.
I wanted to
know
be
you are.
here
Yeah.
to,
And I appreciate, like I say, well, we all appreciate you being here, and I'm sincere about that, because as I say, we want input. We want folks to come to the meetings if they can. If not, hopefully they'll watch on Facebook Live. So we're trying to get the word out a little better. It's a challenge, and which
sure.
amazes me. I do want to mention one other thing, and you didn't bring this up, but it's something I hear once in a while. Matter of fact, I heard it about this particular subject. Well, why would you even consider something like that? Well, I tell you, you guys hired us to serve on this council. We're not just here to warm seats. Council, I'll give you a chance to, but my approach is that council provides oversight and policy direction. But policy direction very often comes from ideas that you guys give us as citizens, as developers. We get ideas, and that's one thing that's changed. You know, a few years ago, we'd do anything get someone to come to town with business. Nowadays, we actually have people looking at us. You know, we have developers coming to us with ideas, and so it's very important for us to look at not only what's going on now, but down the road. You mentioned now, as our streets are pretty busy. Well, that's not going to get any better, you know, as Bedford County, East Roanoke County, and even the Lake develop, we're going to have more and more traffic. So we recognize the fact that we're going to have to make some plans, you know, and that's what this is about. That's why we even consider stuff like this, because that's part of that job that we have of setting policy. We have to determine not only where our town is now and what needs to be done tomorrow or next year, but 5 years or 10 years from now. So that's the importance of this, and that's why it's really important to hear from you guys. By the way, is Richard going to bring my house key back?
I don't know. He probably has it on a key ring with $1 million.
He did so much work at my house, we gave him a key. You know, so.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you very much. Joan, did you want to speak? No. Okay. Well, it's good to see you, Joan. All right.
I'll wait till you have a bigger thing for it.
Okay. All right. That's fine. All right. Council, did you folks have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I could touch on a few things. I mean, you mentioned a lot of things that are irritants to citizens, and you know, council does try to get the word out. You know, we're a small town. There's only a certain ways. We get a lot of rumors. I read the I Hate Benton, I Love Benton page, and you know, about all that. And there was a lot of people that were coming here tonight. And you and your husband and Joan came tonight. So, which means you're very passionate about it, and that's something that, you know, council appreciates. However, like I said, we have one avenue to get things out into the public through Debbie Adams and the Benton Messenger. And then, you know, council really tried during the pandemic to we installed cameras even after the pandemic, so to keep this as Facebook Live, so folks that can't come to these meetings can still stay abreast. Now, do they watch it? Not a lot. You know, I'll say that as a part of being on the Planning Commission, and Joan was on the Planning Commission as well, and so she clearly understands that, you know, when you look at things, you don't look at things about tomorrow or how it affects, you know, 1 or 2 people. You look at things 40 years down the road, 15 years down the road, and when I was running for council, you know, I wanted our town to be a go-to town, not a go-through town. Well, Now, I wish we could even just go through the town, because we can't. You know, I work out on Brambleton Avenue the other day on National Night Out, and I left at 5:20. And I was like, I had to be at the War Memorial at 6 o'clock, but I had to go by my house, which is in your neighborhood. I left at 5:20 and said, there's no way I'm going to make it. I went through, now, 6 years ago, or 3 years ago, I would not have made it because of the roundabout that is at Overland and Colonial. You'd sit there for 25, 30 minutes waiting to take a left. I made it from Brambleton Avenue to PFG in 10 minutes, going through the roundabouts and getting on no traffic, no nothing, and never stopped until I got to PFG. I stopped at PFG, 3rd Street, Virginia Avenue, Long John Silver's, McDonald's. It took me 15 minutes to get from Benton, Weaving Mill to my house. It took me 10 minutes to get to the Weaving Mill, or PFG. So traffic flow works. Stoplights are something that, you know, and I mentioned wanting to go through town, go to town. Back when you mentioned we widened Washington Avenue, you know, we wanted traffic to go through Benton, you know, the best it could. You know, now, you know, we are that go-to town, and that doesn't work anymore either. That way from, now, if I could just get people to understand from Elm Avenue to Colonial Avenue, because I travel that every day, 8 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If we could just get people to understand that it's from Elm Avenue to Colonial Avenue, it's still 55 miles an hour. It's not 35 like everybody does. That would be my, you know, that's something that you just can't really fix. You know, everybody should know that. However, it takes some time to understand how traffic flow works, and it's not personal for people. You know, I see a lot on that page of, you know, bike lanes. Well, I don't ride a bike, so we don't need bike lanes, or I don't like roundabouts, so we don't need roundabouts because I don't like them. Or, you know, there's a lot of things that I don't like, but it's not about me. You know, it's about the future and the flow of this town and how we can attract folks. Because I tell you, when I have people come and they're coming to visit, it's like, good day, how do you stand this little bit of traffic that you have that you stop every single, like, 5-10 feet? But those are things that we're working on, and there's only two ways: either stoplights that aren't working or roundabouts that are proven, and studies show that they are safer. I followed a tractor trailer down Colonial Avenue just the other day, and it went right through the roundabout. Actually, it needed the roundabout to do a U-turn, and it did a U-turn all the way around it and went back the other way. So they do work. It's just not favorable to people change. You know, we don't like change, and of course, if we don't like them, then it's never going to work. You can't train people, just like, you know, people are going to make mistakes in those. They're not accident, like, you're going to have accidents, but we have accidents at stop signs too. Eventually, though, however, if they continue to have accidents and they still don't know how to use, like, the roadways like they're constructed, there's a program called Driver Improvement, and they will teach that. In fact, someone I know teaches that stuff, and, you know, we can educate the public. We can't move traffic if we can't change things. So just my personal thoughts, and I embrace change and see for the future. It's one of the good things about being on the Planning Commission with Joan. You kind of took me out of it, took yesterday and tomorrow out of it, and look at it when my grandkids are older. How's it going to be? But
Well said. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, do you have anything else you want to say?
Well, Kate. Well, thank you for coming. I do appreciate that. And I appreciate you calling the town clerk, Susan, and getting the appointment set up with the manager. Because it is important that you're getting the correct information. Not a fan of Facebook. You're not going to get correct information on Facebook. That's where people just go off, and they all have solutions for it. The best place to be to get the correct information, to be informed, is right here, or either watch it on Facebook. Because, you know, that is something that we did go the extra mile to make sure that everybody was being informed. I am with Keith. We didn't just say as a town council, let's do a roundabout. There's been studies that have been done about it. There's been people who definitely know lots more about it than we ever will. That's the field of work that they work in. So we do have to look at all different avenues, and we do have to look in the future. We have to make sure that what we're doing, we will benefit, the town and the citizens, but we always want to know what you're thinking. So we're definitely glad that you came tonight, and we will definitely, take your comments into consideration. And I do encourage that if there's anybody else that wants to come, this is the place to be, to find out exactly what's going on. And it's two nights a month, and if you can't come, go to Facebook. And if you're truly passionate about what you want to see and that you want your voice to be heard and that you want to make change as a citizen, then you'll be here. Or you'll be on Facebook. That's just the bottom line. You can't complain about something that you're not willing to voice your opinion. So thank you very much for coming tonight. And like the mayor says, we'll definitely take everything into consideration and try to do a better job of, I don't know how we can, but I guess we'll find a way.
It's a challenge.
You did perfect. I love the way that you had all kinds of people coming tonight. I mean, because they were, but you were the only ones that were passionate about it enough to come.
I told them too. I also told them I had a meeting.
Yeah,
and
I know,
that
yes.
was explained better, and that they needed to hear what was said.
Right.
I didn't just complain. I tried to tell them
Right.
the whole picture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
If more
Good
people would
job.
do that.
We're going to be the town advocate now.
Good job, good job. Mike, how's your throat?
Well, first, it's better now.
Oh, shucks.
So he's dubbed down. But first off, thank you. Like Sabrina said, thank you for coming. Thank you for allowing us to serve, giving us this opportunity. You did exactly what you were supposed to do when you went to see the town manager, and that was to find out the reason why you were hearing and seeing the things that you were seeing. Naturally, the roundabout is to move traffic more than a stoplights would, naturally. And that, like Keith said, that's a legacy that we get to a certain point that we'll look back and see if the town wants to leave. Going from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, 2 lanes to 1 lane on Washington Avenue. It used to be a through, we wanted to get people through town. But now that we are the go-to town, that's the reason for looking at the 2 lanes to the 1 lane. I don't ride a bike. I used to, I don't anymore. But we rely on people that trained in their lives to come to us and say, this is what needs to happen for you to accomplish this goal. Now, does that mean we're going to do it? It doesn't. Doesn't mean we're going to do it. However, once again, I thank you for going to Mr. Peters. As you very well know, we work for you, and we work for every citizen in this town. He works for us, and everybody under him works for him. So always getting to us is not easy because we have jobs. Getting to him is, and finding out what the reason is. So I do applaud you because you did say specifically, tonight's the meeting, here's the time, meet me in council chambers, and I thank the 3 of you for coming. But come anytime, but understand, we try to do our best to get the communication out there, but we have a reason. There is a reason why. I said to somebody the other day, I said to a guy the other day that was down at the post office, and he was giving it to gas. I mean, giving it to gas. He didn't touch the brakes for like 10 minutes. And finally, I looked at him and said, look, we just didn't wake up one Saturday morning and go, hey, we're going to put a roundabout around Hardy Road, the bypass. Hardy Road and the bypass, and just decide we're going to do that. It was an approach that was come to us. So once again, thank you. We're all in this together. Our vote, we cast our vote for you. We hope we cast it for you. When we cast it, it's a good one. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir. All right. Debbie, bottom line, Debbie and Richard and Joan, thank you guys for coming. We heard your 2 issues tonight, and we'll work on them both, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Any other comments?
Gotta be somewhere.
Okay. Bye.
Hi, Joan.
See you, Joe. All right. With that, we will move on to our public hearing for this evening, which is concerning a rollover of quite a bit of money, right?
Yes, sir.
sir.
And, well, let me officially open I see Jeremy looking at me. This rollover, we will explain in just a minute, but let me officially open the public hearing, and we will start with the report from staff, and then we'll receive any public comments. So, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and other members of council. And my mic seems to be really hot, so I apologize. This being August, and with the close of the recent fiscal year at June 30, it is customary for local governments, as previous years' appropriations for projects expire, to undergo a process of rollovers or reappropriations for projects that either did not get completed in the previous fiscal year, or projects where funding for those projects was deliberately spread across fiscal years to help ease the burden and space out the pacing for some of the money. So tonight, what you have before you for consideration and open for public comment is admittedly a large number, approximately $5.5 million of budget transfers and appropriations. However, I'd like to point out that none of these projects are new projects. All of these projects, as listed in the background report, fall into one of two categories. So these are either projects that were budgeted and appropriated in last fiscal year and did not get started for various reasons, or projects that had funding split across fiscal years and we're bringing them forward to fill out that funding and move the project to completion. So I will just run through some of those projects. Some of them are actually quite fortuitous, especially concerning Mr. Lyles' comments about signals. So,
Signalization, yes, please.
yes, sir. The first set of projects that I'd like to mention are those where they were budgeted and appropriated in last fiscal year, but for one reason or another, either timing, staff capacity, or supply chain issues, didn't get completed before June 30th. So those projects include pavement striping and marking out of the Public Works Department. We're proposing to stripe or restripe, if you will, all the roads currently striped in the town. So this is about a $75,000 endeavor that will then get us on a nice cycle to go every other year on this. And Mr. Herndon will possibly talk more about this during his report from Public Works. But this is an exciting project, something that we've not been able to do comprehensively in a number of years, but hopefully doing this now and doing so within the next couple months. Next is the Walnut Avenue Bike and Pedestrian Accommodations Project from 5th Street to the town's west limits. This is a project that involves a sidewalk, multi-use path, crosswalk, other pedestrian accommodations, and streetscaping and repaving along Walnut Avenue. Miss Anita McMillan has been shepherding this project for us for a number of years. This project has gone out to bid, is ready to go out to construction, and in fact, you all will be considering an award of a contract for this project later this very evening. So ready to move dirt on that project. The Garthright Bridge improvements, this is a project where during the routine inspection of the bridge, some of our engineers noted that there were some minor projects that we could perform to extend the life of the bridge over the short term to help alleviate just a possible large bridge project, not anywhere in the near future, but later on. So Mr. Herndon spearheaded this project for us with our consultants at Mattern and Craig, and we're ready to move forward on that project for approximately $421,000. And also, this is a project that you will be asked to award a contract on at this very meeting. Phase 2B of the Glade Creek Greenway, we've received some donations from Pathfinders for Greenways, and this is also to help
Ms. McMillan and Planning and Zoning continue on the design efforts. This phase of the Greenway will connect the existing Glade Creek Greenway over towards Walnut Avenue. We're fairly well along in the design of this project, and I'm moving forward to go out to bid in that project, hopefully within the next fiscal year, but this is just rolling those funds forward to continue. And then the Gish Mill redevelopment project. This project, as you know, has sort of been a hallmark of the town over the past couple of years, led by Mr. Peters in his capacity as assistant town manager, previously an economic development director. We are set to close on that property with the developers in September, and so moving this money forward helps to fulfill our part of the performance agreement in for that closure on the property. And then lastly, in old projects, moving forward, Ms. McMillan and her staff are moving forward on a stormwater project at the Woodland Place, or behind the Woodland Place off of Niagara. This is mostly grant funded, but we're moving forward the town match. This is anticipated to go to bid this fall as well. So those are all of the projects moving money forward from last year, and then some of the split funded projects are moving forward on some American Rescue Plan Act money for payments to the Western Virginia Water Authority as part of closing out our deal with the transfer of the utility fund. That money will be used by the Water Authority for utility infrastructure improvements within the town of Vinton, or the former town of Vinton system. A number of those projects are already well on their way to design and should be rolling out within the next couple months. We're also looking at the replacement of 3 signals along Hardy Road. Those are the signals at Hardy and Vineyard, Hardy and Niagara, and Hardy and Bypass, to complement the signal that was replaced at Hardy and Clearview. These signals are on order, and I have assurance from Mr. Herndon that they should arrive around the 3rd week of August, which I told him was next week. Yeah. So once those signals arrive, it should take about 2 to 3 days for each one to install, but they'll be up and working. And then our contractor, Davis H. Elliott, will be working over the coming weeks to program those signals. So I would ask, the public to sort of bear with us as we get the new signals in and work out the timings of the phases. Our goal, to Mr. Lyles' point, is that in those 4 signals, you should only ever have to stop at 1. That if you get stopped at 1, you should be able to make it through the other 3 in a cycle. So that's our goal. I'll publicly state it, cross my fingers, and we'll double check. And then lastly, and probably of largest note, is the town's annual paving. We have a record paving contract this year of $1.1 million that Mr. Herndon will be sharing more details of later in this meeting. And that paving is anticipated to begin at the beginning of September. So I apologize for the lengthy list of projects and the rollovers, but this is an amazing time for the town, and my hope is we'll probably get to the point where folks will be saying, why are you doing so much? Yeah. So lots of dirt moving in the next couple months, and I'm happy to answer any questions on the funding.
All right. Cody, thank you very much, and no apology necessary because there's a lot going on.
Yes, sir.
And actually, you did a great job in briefing that. Are there any public comments? No? Council, you have any further comments or any discussion?
I just have a question, a couple of questions. So, you mentioned the Walnut Avenue, and talking about, we were talking about projects, and like we went to the SMART scale for our, 6-7 years down the road.
Yeah.
Anita, how long have we been working on Walnut Avenue now? Like
8 years.
At least 6.
I've been here almost 7, and I remember her applying before I ever started working for the town.
Oh my goodness.
So yes, I'm just glad to. I'm just glad to see that it's finally we are there, and it seems like it was.
Yes.
It was a long time ago. I wasn't on council. I was on the planning commission when we were talking about trying to do Walnut Avenue, and then here recently going back to ask for more money and stuff, and just glad to see that is starting now. And then for the Greenway project, is that where I know it's from Gus Nix all the way to how The park. Are we still like working with the railroad underneath the railroad, or is that still our hold up?
That's the reason we split it into two.
Okay.
The first was 2, and then we split it to A and to B. And this will be the 2B from Gerhart Park to Walnut.
So this money doesn't have anything to do with what's going to go underneath the railroad or whatever, right? Or
No.
it does? Yes, okay, this does, the other does. Okay, yeah, perfect. That's what, no, that was my question, making sure that it was still going under the railroad and they were fine with all that still. And
It's been slow, but this will complete the Greenway from PFG to Augusta Next Boulevard.
yeah, cool. Those are my only project questions.
Was that it?
Yep, that was my
Oh,
only
okay.
project questions.
Thank you very much.
I didn't have any questions. I just want to say thank you to Anita for your
Yeah,
hard work on that.
No
Thank you,
kidding.
thank you.
yeah, it's been a long time coming, but all right, thank you very much.
It'll be very nice though, once it's done.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, just very, very briefly, since we're talking about that Greenway, the part that's completed now, I think we call that Phase 1 or whatever.
It's 2A.
2A, whatever. And yeah, really, I call that the starter Greenway. If no one's ever tried out a Greenway, that's a perfect one to give it a try. It's nice and flat. The section is completed right now. It's not too long, and it's paved and everything, so I would highly recommend that as a good starter Greenway.
And it's pretty too, right by the creek.
Yeah, it is. It's right beside the creek. It's all very nice. Okay. Any other questions, comments? No? If not, I will officially close the public hearing. I'd like to keep Jeremy happy. And we will consider adoption of a resolution which would, I guess, approve the rollover as described.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Stovall, second by Vice Mayor McCarty. Susan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember Stovall? Yes. Vice Mayor McCarty?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes. Resolution passes. Thank you, folks, for all that information. Thanks, Cody. Jeremy, I don't see anything listed. We know you are constantly doing things for the town, and I guess it's good news you don't have to bring us any bad news, right?
If it's real bad, we do it in closed session.
There you
You don't have that either.
That's true. That's true. And we're competing with you. We got ties on tonight, so. And with that, we'll move on to the town manager section. Please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Gross. Again, members of council. We have quite a long list of items requiring action this evening. We also have one briefing. I was recently presenting an update to Mayor Gross regarding some capital projects that we're moving forward. As you all well know, we hired a capital projects manager as a part of last year's budget in order to help us move some of these construction projects forward. It's unprecedented times for the town as far as upcoming construction, and so we felt that in order to do those projects efficiently and wisely of the use of taxpayer money and grant money, that we hire that staff person. Jamie's been very active since he was hired in the town back in the spring, and I thought it was a good opportunity to bring him before council to give him an update. Some of these projects, they're further out into the future, but in an effort, we have recognized that we need to be more communicative to our citizenry, and so this is just another opportunity for us to explain and communicate what we're up to and what we're trying to accomplish. So I asked Mr. Hurt to come this evening, our capital projects manager, to give council a brief update on a couple of projects that he has underway. Mr. Hurt, if you will come forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pete.
Good
Mayor.
evening.
Yeah, good evening, Madam Vice Mayor and members of council. As Pete's mentioned, I'd like to provide some updates on some of the projects I've been working on over the past, 4 months now. First project I'd like to give you an update on is the Walnut Avenue parking lot project. Currently, we're in the design and engineering phase. We're working with Hughes and Associates for the design and engineering work. They've started their work. Currently, they're doing the topographic survey that's required for this project. They should have that wrapped up here in the next week or two. And I've been working with them on a project schedule. Things are going very well. We're looking to put that out to bid probably late February 2023. We'd like to go out to bid with that, and then that would put us estimated project completion sometime around June 2023. So we're estimating about 90 to 120 days to complete the construction of the parking lot. But that one's moving along very well. Hughes has been really good to work with and impressed with the work that they've done so far. So I'll continue to keep you updated as to how we move forward with that project.
And Jamie, could you remind for the audience who's watching the location of that parking lot as well as the anticipated number of parking spaces that will provide for our entertainment venues and support our downtown businesses?
Yeah, sure. The parking lot is located at 7 Walnut Avenue. Currently, I remember it as the McClung Lumber Yard from a child. So it's a very strategic location. It'll really service our downtown businesses, really help us to kind of move things forward. We're looking, the parking lot, as far as the number of spaces, we're kind of targeting somewhere around 100, 130 spaces, somewhere in that ballpark. We're still working on the design. We have a conceptual design, but we haven't really fleshed out exactly how many spaces, but that's kind of an estimate of what we're looking for.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Great, thanks.
Second project I'd like to update you on is the development of a community park at the former pool site. We have been working with Hughes and Associates. This project's also in the design phase, actually the conceptual design phase. So we partnered with Hill Studio to help us with the conceptual design work there. I've had several meetings with Hill in my office and then also on site. We've discussed just a myriad of different uses for that area and amenities that could possibly go there. We're very close to wrapping up the conceptual design, and I'm looking forward to presenting that to you guys really in the not too distant future. We should have something for y'all to take a look at, and we're pretty excited about that. I guess lastly, we'll talk just a little bit about some of the work I've been doing at the War Memorial. As we strive to be good stewards of the War Memorial and the campus surrounding the War Memorial, I've been working on a facility assessment. And really the purpose of this assessment is just to kind of develop a baseline of the current condition of the War Memorial. Which I'm happy to report the War Memorial seems to be in real good shape for a facility of its age. But we're just taking a look and doing some investigative work to just kind of make sure that we're positioned for the future, and so we don't have things creeping up on us. We all know from time to time kind of maintenance issues can pop up on you, and you deal with them as they do. But from my experience, most maintenance problems or issues we can plan for. So that's what this is designed to do. This assessment will help us kind of chart the future and make sure that we're doing a good job maintaining the War Memorial. You'll see I've provided a handout that you can review when you have time. That handout will kind of outline some of the current conditions with the War Memorial, and I will note that some of the things you'll see there was low-hanging fruit for us. We as we were doing the investigation and kind of looking at some things and doing the assessment, we noticed some things that were easily just let's take care of them. So we did. So one of the things you'll notice on there is some drainage issues. We've actually made those improvements already. We utilized our talented public works staff to kind of get in there and take care of that for us. So they did a great job correcting those issues. We're already experiencing some positive effects from that. You'll also notice that there are some walkway improvements that need to be made. We haven't done those yet, but we do have a plan to make those corrections. It's kind of the walkways leading up to the War Memorial and the area right in front of the War Memorial. So we do have a plan to take care of that, and thankfully, we'll also be able to utilize Public Works staff to help us keep costs down and control the quality of the product as well. The plan for that is to try to take care of that in the fall, winter timeframe is what we're looking at. So yeah, and there's some other things, some smaller items that we ran across, kind of the same deal, low-hanging fruit. We just went ahead and tackled those through the Public Works Department. There will be some other things that we'll continue to evaluate and keep our eye on. My assessment's not completely done at this point. I'm still working on it. Hope to, in the next 2-3 months, kind of wrap that up. When I do, I think it'll be a valuable tool for us as we can, kind of forecast our capital expenses at the War Memorial. So that's all I have for you in the way of update. I'm happy to answer any questions or take any comments you might have.
Well, Jamie, I first of all appreciate the report very much, and it's good to hear that there's nothing major at the War Memorial, and catching things like this before they become major obviously is very important.
That's exactly right.
And I might add, it's really good to have a professional on staff, because a lot of these things I've walked right by for years, and I didn't even realize till you pointed out in the report that could be a potential problem. So, I appreciate your thoroughness on that very much.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to do it.
Yeah, we've been, and also let me say, I'm really, really glad that you're here. We've been wanting someone like you on staff for some years now. So,
thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, well, as much as we got going on, I'm sure you'll be a very busy guy.
It looks like I will.
Yeah.
Comes from a good family, too.
Yeah. Yeah, local boy, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's great.
So for the walkway, like going up to I was looking at all the pictures of so going up to the porch of the walkway, it's all, cracked. Now, you said you've got some plans. Can you, are we putting concrete back up that way?
We are, yeah. We're basically just removing the concrete that's there, and then we'll do some compaction and then place new concrete.
Just curious if we ever looked at anything else. I've heard there's two kinds of concrete. It's cracked and not cracked yet.
That's exactly right. I can confirm that for you.
So if we just put down concrete, to me, it's going to crack again sometime soon. With new things that have developed, and I don't know if there's anything else we could look at, how they stamp it, color it, and where it don't crack, or in small. Just curious. I'm just looking at the pictures, and that the War Memorial is so beautiful, and that is ugly, and it does need to be fixed. But just curious if we were just going to put concrete right back over it, or if we found something else that might work better and last longer for the future. So
the plan is to do concrete. We can certainly look at other options. Concrete done well will last a long time. I think probably just the age and then some drainage issues that we had that have now been corrected probably contributed to kind of washing underneath the concrete to allow it to get to the point that it is now. But certainly I'm always open to looking at new products and finding something, that might be
better. If there's something out there, that might hold up, look better, hold up, last longer.
Well, we'll definitely take a look and see if we can come up with...
We're debt free.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
All right, Jamie, thank you very much. Appreciate the job you're doing.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next this evening we have a number of items requiring action. The first on the agenda is a resolution, consideration of a resolution to award a construction bid for the Walnut Avenue Bike and Pedestrian Accommodations. I'll ask our Planning and Zoning Director, Anita McMillan, to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peters, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor McCarty, and Councilmember Laus and Stovall. Of course, the first one, it's a long time coming, and you both on the TPO when we came back for additional money. And as I stated in the cover sheet there, the report to council, we did bid it twice. I guess the first one wasn't the correct timing, and you see how much it was. And of course, with VDOT funding, when the lowest bid is more than $600,000 from what we have to rebid it. And we were lucky; we received two bids on the second time, and the lowest bid is that boring contractors, formerly boring contractors, are now changed to Jones Road and Bridge Company. I do have before you the resolution. I have provided you with the bid tabulation of both contractors that submitted the bid, and we hope that have the resolution be approved so we can award the notice to award the contract to them. We already scheduled a pre-construction meeting this Thursday. We're ready to roll with this project. So hopefully, if they can start, we hope to get it completed no later than spring next year.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Council, any comments or questions? If not, you have before you the resolution that Anita has described. It's been a long time coming, and so we're all very familiar with it. So we appreciate the report. Is there a motion?
Okay, I will definitely make a motion to adopt this resolution.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Lyles, second by Vice Mayor McCarty. Susan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember Stovall?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McCarty?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes.
And Ms. McMillan will present the next item this evening, which is a adoption of a resolution to award engineering services for the String Bank Restoration Project we discussed earlier off of Niagara Road and behind Woodland Place.
Yes, sir. As we mentioned last year, not only this project will fix the drainage issue we have along Niagara Road and also Woodland Place, it also can meet the municipal separate storm sewer permit. One of the requirements is the total maximum daily load for sediment. So this project will be able to remove sedimentation in the waterways. So we hope that once we get this notice to award issued to them, they can start, since they is the same firm that we hired to submit the grant application last year, WSSI. We did advertise it. We did receive 5 firms. We had a selection committee based on their submittal, based on the interview. They were the highest ranked firm that we felt comfortable and feel that they are the best fit for this project. Just like the first one, all the information was provided to Mr. Carroll, the town attorney, and they have reviewed, the contract and things like that. So I do have before you the resolution to award the contract for the town manager to execute the contract document with WSSI.
Okay. Thank you, Anita. Here again, this is an item we've looked at several times. Man, this is something that's, talk about pictures being worth 1,000 words. I will never forget the picture of I don't know who it was, some gentleman standing down in the big ravine where this thing is. So something that's definitely needed. And perhaps this is a good time for me to mention, as I frequently do, by the time items get to this point where it's a resolution, council and certainly staff has been through it many times and are very familiar with it. So sometimes when we just kind of rush through a resolution, it may seem like we're just not spending much time on it, but we already have many times. So this is one of those situations. So council, any comments or questions? No? Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Stovall. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Lyles. Susan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember Stovall?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McCarty?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes.
And we have one more item from Ms. McMillan. This is a resolution to accept the acquisition of right-of-way from several business owners along Walnut Avenue for the Walnut Avenue improvements along Phase 2. Ms. McMillan?
Yes, thank you. Just we mentioned the first phase, the one earlier, is from Town West Limit to 5th Street. And this one is from Wesley to 1st Street. Basically, it's the bicycle and pedestrian accommodation along the Walnut Avenue. As far as the middle portion, from 1st to 5th, we do receive funding for that. That will be administered by VDOT. That one is a lot more bigger project, about $7.6 million. So having said that, we are excited to start we were excited that the 3 property owners that we have been negotiating regarding portion of the right-of-way, the final one we received was yesterday. Having said that, there is a revised resolution in front of you that Mr. Carroll, like I said, we always work with the town attorney to make sure that we done it correctly. So I do have before you the resolution accepting the right-of-way that needed for the project from the 3 property, including the church. There's 2 business owners and Reed Baptist Church involved with this project.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Now, this is the one we have the revised resolution. Council members, I think you had this in front of you this evening.
The revision, Mr. Mayor, just clarified the documents that we're approving. 2 of the properties are subject to a deed where there's actually a little fee simple that is being granted to the town along with the construction easement. And then for the church, it's just an agreement for a construction easement.
Okay,
So we're just clarifying that in the resolution.
gotcha. Thank you, Jeremy. All right. And thank you, Nita. Council, you have before you the resolution concerning the items that Anita just described.
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
adopt.
All right, we have a motion by Vice Mayor McCarty.
Second.
Oh, second by Councilmember Lyles. Susan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles.
Yes.
Councilmember Stovall.
Yes.
Vice Mayor McCarty.
Yes.
Mayor Gross.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita.
Evidence complete.
Well, this one, we hope for this phase 2, we hope to advertise for construction sometime no later than October and to get it done hopefully by April next year for this one. And then for the Greenway, we also hope to be able to advertise it this fall. We're still waiting for the license. We have had, they have approved it. We're just waiting for the license agreement to be approved by the Norfolk Southern attorney.
We typically cut ribbons on these, but we probably need to take a bottle of champagne and slam it down on the ground.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anita.
You're right. Well, thank you so much, Anita. You completed the hat trick tonight. You got all 3 of them. Yeah. That's for you hockey fans.
That's our last gateway, right? That's the last gateway into,
Yeah.
Ben Gish's Mill's already on the books to do, and this will complete the
Right.
last gateway into the town.
It's an important gateway, that's for sure. A lot of traffic down through there.
And I would like to just highlight that beyond, there's some aesthetic components to this of actually improving our gateway to our residents and our visitors. But the functionality of this to interconnect our downtown to the greenways and to the greenway system of the entire Roanoke Valley. So it's dedicated bike lanes, and this is not all about bike lanes. That is a piece of the puzzle, but this wasn't all done just for bikes. It does make it safer for bikes to navigate. It makes it safer for vehicles to utilize this corridor. But probably the most important thing is to be able to accommodate pedestrians in this corridor, as we have a lot of activity moving in downtown from the parking lots, from the farmers market, and some of our entertainment areas as our businesses grow and expand, as our greenways develop and more people are utilizing that. This provides dedicated sidewalk and/or shared use paths along Walnut Avenue to make those interconnections to our greenways and to our greater neighborhoods through the use of crosswalks and signalized intersections. So this is just a small piece of a much greater, larger plan in order to improve the aesthetics of the gateway, to make it more functionality for our residents and our visitors.
It took a long time for that little teeny piece, though.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It's nice to finally start seeing some things happening on the ground.
Absolutely.
Plan seems a long time away if it's that long to do Walnut Avenue.
But
the next item, number 4, for your consideration this evening is a resolution to award a construction bid for the Garthwaite Bridge rehabilitation. This is basically a preventative maintenance project, as Cody mentioned earlier. This just prolongs the life of the bridge rather than having to bite off bigger construction projects later. Spending a little now kind of extends that life. So I'll ask the Public Works Director, Mr. Bo Herndon, to present this item.
good evening, Bo.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm bringing up for you tonight consideration of adoption of a resolution to award a bid let the town manager execute award of a bid from Burley Construction in the amount of $421,000 for the rehab work of Garfreight Bridge that's on Gus Nix Boulevard that goes over the Norfolk Southern Railroad. The town contracted with Manor and Craig to assist with the coordination in the bid process and the oversight of the project. We had 2 bids that came in. We did a bid opening on July the 15th. The winning bid came in at just a little over $495,000. With that being said, the bids did come in over our budgeted price that we had built in for this year. We did go back to Burley Construction and negotiate some traffic control, moved some stuff around, made some adjustments, which did bring that the bid down to $421,000.
Awesome.
So it's staff's recommendation that if council can accept this bid.
Great. Thank you, sir, very much for that report.
And council, I'd just like to mention this preventative maintenance step, and there's one additional one that we planned in an outlying year of the CIP. These 2 preventative maintenance steps will prolong the life approximately another 50 years.
Wow.
So as you can see, spending a little now would be much cheaper to do it now than having to substantially rebuild a bridge, in the near future. So.
Right.
So appreciate Bo and Cody and the engineers to, one, catch that, some of the things that needed some attention, and then one, to execute a design plan and construction to get it accomplished.
Okay, thank you very much. And you're right, that's very important that we do this now. It can save us a lot of money in the future. So thank you a lot for all that. Council, any comments, questions?
It's hard to believe that bridge, it's hard to believe I remember when that was built. And now I know. And now it needs to be, like you were just talking about, maybe having to rebuild a bridge. I was like, but I just saw that thing get built 38 years ago, maybe.
Yep, almost 40 years ago. Yep.
Well, I'm glad you're old enough to be able to remember.
Me too.
I'm glad you're not so old that you can't remember.
Thanks, Beth.
So, any comments or questions? Okay, if not, we'll entertain a motion. Sorry, guys.
I'll make a motion to.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Lyles, a second by Vice Mayor McCarty. Susan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember Stovall? Vice Mayor McCarty?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes.
And I have 2 pretty much general housekeeping items that I will ask the Assistant Town Manager / Treasurer to present. I think our Finance Director, Andrew Keene, may also participate in this. Cody?
Thank you, Mr. Peters. So the first item, it's sort of hard to believe that the time is already quickly approaching, but Miss Lydia Verdillo, our longtime finance office employee and current assistant finance director, and also current deputy town treasurer, is retiring as of the end of this month. So we're very grateful for her service, and in anticipation of her coming retirement, it worked so well to have a deputy treasurer appointed to help sort of hand off some of those duties and share some of the burden of sort of the routine administrative work, that we are recommending that the town transfer those deputy town treasurer duties to Mr. Andrew Keene, our current finance director, and appoint him deputy town treasurer as of September 1st. Mr. Keene has been with us since June 27th, has already taken to a lot of the work. He's been learning a lot under Lydia and other town staff and is doing an excellent job. And so I would highly encourage you all to make this appointment.
I'll help you a lot, too.
That is an extra benefit, yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Stovall, a second by Vice Mayor McCarty. Susan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember Stovall? Vice Mayor McCarty.
Yes.
Mayor Groves.
Yes. Andrew, again, welcome you. We welcome you, and congratulations on your appointment. I think you're joining a really awesome team. So,
I agree, thank you.
yeah, you
So-
probably know that already.
So with that position of Lydia's being so valuable, and, I mean, I'm sure down the road, we're gonna look at possibility of filling that position?
Yes, so Mr. Peters and I, and Ms. Collins and HR, we had lots of discussions about this prior to Andrew's arrival, and all of those discussions pretty much focused on we really wanted to get Andrew in the seat, and so we have been working with him. That was one of his first tasks, to sort of identify where the needs are in his department, what opportunities are there, sort of based on his skill set and what he brings. So as recently as this afternoon, we were discussing on what that job could look like and how we could fill it. And while we're not yet ready to release the final details on that, still working with some staff and getting some additional information, we would anticipate advertising for a position in the finance office within the next couple weeks.
Awesome. Good news.
Thank you.
Appreciate the question, Mike. Good question. Okay.
So, the next item, and this is sort of out of place just with how the business flowed, but it is the adoption of the May 31st, 2022 financial report. Sorry, just threw a blank there. So we've gone through this, and we've briefed the mayor, and wanted to just highlight this a little bit more and have you all approve this instead of outside of the normal Finance Committee report as we're getting closer to presenting on the end of the fiscal year. So the two items of particular note, and of course, as usual, I can always go into whatever detail you would like. These are as of May 31st, 2022. So we're in the middle, or we're coming to the end of our accrual period, so for the audit. But as of May 31st, running very strong on the revenue side. I always like to point out our two operational funds, the general fund and the utility fund. As of May, general fund revenues were running about just shy of $800,000 better than where we anticipated them as of that time. A lot of that was due to the May tax collections, namely personal property tax and bank stock taxes. We also had a very strong revenue receipts in meals tax, parimutuel tax, and sales tax. All three of those running very strong throughout the spring and showing up here in May. The other very good news, as you've heard me say a couple months now, in the general fund, the expenditures were running about $900,000 under where we would have expected them to be. So at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I have to give all the credit to our department heads and our managers who do not go on spending sprees at the end of the fiscal year. They are very prudent in sort of their operations and are excellent stewards of the money. And as mentioned with some of the rollovers, hold off on doing projects until they are ready to move forward and be complete. So some of these savings, we just rolled forward this evening to help move those projects along. So all credit goes to our department heads and managers in that. And then in the utility fund, the revenues were running very well in May with sort of an off-cycle collection coming in there as we were anticipating the closure of the utility fund and the transfer to the Water Authority. And even though the report shows that expenditures were over where we were anticipated to be, a number of those expenditures were due to bond projects for capital projects. So the meter replacement project and the 3rd Street sewer lift station project were really gearing up in April and May to move forward. So even though the expenditures were a little high, we were sort of expecting that in May. And all indications that by the time the fiscal year closes, those should be back on track for where we would expect them to be. Grant fund, capital fund, stormwater fund are all very healthy. Those are all project-driven funds, so we don't use those funds until ready to move a project forward. The highlight there is, as indicated by the rollovers, that by not doing those projects in the previous fiscal year, that gave us the ability to roll forward the money and do those projects. The only other thing to note, as I do like to highlight, is that our cash position, total cash for the town as of May 31st, $11.3 million and some change. So that is sort of a phenomenal amount. A lot of that is, of course, general fund cash, $3.5 million. We saw a decent increase in that, mostly because of that personal property tax and bank stock tax collection. And then we also saw a good increase in the utility fund cash during that time because of that collection and some reimbursement from some bond proceeds. We have $4.4 million in restricted cash. These are special funds and such as the the American Rescue Plan Act funds that we use for special projects, or in the police department for some of their special funds. And then we have $3.3 million of investments that we continue to monitor and try to be good stewards of to make a little bit of interest earnings on. Not a lot, getting better by the day, but just a little bit. So cash position for the town continues to remain strong, and we're highly anticipating where the auditors say we'll end up for June 30 to have still a strong cash position, but that means we'll be able to turn that cash into projects that we have on the books for the citizens to improve the town. So these are the financial statements for May 31st, 2022. If you have any questions about the details, I would be happy to answer them.
Council, you have any questions?
Yes.
Let me just say briefly, I have the pleasure of serving with Councilmember Stovall on our Finance Committee, and I appreciate very much the thoroughness of the reports that we get from staff. You guys do a great job in explaining a lot of that stuff to those of us who are amateurs. I hope you don't mind me saying that, Mike. But for instance, some of the excesses you described, I think it's important to note that because our staff has done a great job and they've been very frugal, and but it's also important to note that that everything's still getting done. Our projects are moving forward. The maintenance is being done. They're just doing a terrifically good and efficient job at that. And in addition, with the cash on hand, and you mentioned it, Cody, and I appreciate this, that means that we will be able to fund some of the many projects that Jamie's working on. And of course, that's important as we go forward to know that we're in a position to do some things that this town has really needed for years. And here again, this is something relatively new for us. We're in a better financial position now than we've been in the 2 decades that I've served on council. So it's a really exciting time to know that we can make those investments in our town. With that, I will shut up. And so I guess we need to consider adoption of the financial report, right? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lyles, second by Councilmember Stovall. Please call it.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember Councilmember Stovall?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McCarty?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I just have a couple of project updates I'd like to take an opportunity to present. I'll be quick. As it's been mentioned a couple times this evening, the Gish Mill project is set to close the last several months. Since roughly February, we've been doing a historic stabilization grant, which is shoring up the foundation of the structure and restoring the stream bank so that it prevents water damage from the structure in the future. So now that we've completed that state grant, we can transfer the property to the new owners. So that is, I believe, set for September 6th. And so we're going through the various documents associated with that closure, and they can secure their bank financing and get started on the next phase, which is actually renovating the visual piece of the structure rather than substructure. The hotel site, we're efforting to get some utilities relocated to get that piece of the project underway. Where we are with the project, it's still on track. It's been slightly delayed just simply because of as costs have escalated for materials and labor since we originally negotiated the project. There is a slight gap in the funding required by the investor and the developer outside of what they're getting in traditional financing. So there's just some work being done behind the scenes there to encourage and invite some additional investments into the project to get that underway, but we're not standing by idle as we're doing that. We're doing site preparations, as I said, some overhead utilities, design of underground utilities will be relocated, so we'll get that moving so that when the developer's ready to start breaking ground, that we'll be ready for them.
Is that what you're talking right there on the corner? That's not moving, is it, or is it?
No. The underground, there's a junction box there for primarily phone communications. That is not moving. That was actually built into the site. The underground utilities that I'm referring to is primarily water and sewer. And then the overhead utilities is Cox Cable and AEP. And so we're just removing those overhead utilities primarily on First Street. And then they'll be relocated over to Pollard. So there's some design and some costs associated with that relocation, but fairly routine relocation, not much to it.
Still on track for October next year.
I won't necessarily commit to a particular date because there is some variables still out of our necessary control, but the project remains, the developer remains enthusiastic, and a lot of conversations going on. We meet weekly, and so things are still proceeding. Wanted to update council just on the activity with the DNR Music Fire. The town staff has been staying very much involved in that, in conversations with both the owners of DNR Music, but also the other surrounding properties. We have been seeking additional grants to help them from the state as far as environmental assessments, planning grants for future design of restoring those structures or rebuilding those structures. And then the town staff, Public Works in particular, have been working with the demo contractors and the owners, to close roads when necessary, to make a safe space for the operators of the equipment to remove that structure. So there are a couple additional structures planning to come down in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. We'll be posting that information on the website just as it becomes Facebook, social media, all those, when the roads will be closed and detours will be in place. So there's a lot of work being done. There's been a lot of structural assessments. There's been a lot of insurance attention on the space, fire inspectors. So there's been a lot going on since, to the average Joe, it may not look like much has happened since the fire took place on July 2nd, but I can tell you that it's moving at a rapid pace in comparison to a lot of projects in other communities that just seem to drag on forever. So I've been very appreciative of the owners having to face this difficult time, but all the contractors and all the staff, it's I think it's moving really well, and there will be some more activity on the site fairly soon. But we are engaged with the owners, and we're trying to assist them and helping them decide what they want to do with their property. And so far, everyone's been very supportive in wanting to rebuild and make the highest best use of that site possible, because it's very important for the town for its longevity.
Absolutely.
I also wanted to mention just two grant-related items. The VITA grant, the Virginia Individual Development Account grant that we partnered with the Advancement Foundation. This was a $200,000 grant from the state to provide small savings accounts to members of the community who participated in financial education seminars. And if they generated $500 in savings, attended the educational seminars, then the state grant would match them with an additional $4,000. And this is to start a business or to purchase a home. And so I'm happy to report we've expended all $200,000, and we've assisted 37 individuals with this grant. And so not all of them have been Benton members, but it was open to a greater 3-county jurisdiction, but there was quite a few Roanoke County and Benton recipients of this grant. So it all was administered out of the town of Benton, and I'm very proud that the town was able to help expedite and get those funds out, and hopefully, started a few businesses and certainly helped some folks get down payments for homes.
Awesome.
And then the EPA Brownfields Assessment Grant, that was a $300,000 grant. We have successfully expended, we're just shy of $250,000 out of the $300,000 that we've expended. This grant was from the Environmental Protection Agency. It was to do assessments, environmental assessments on brownfield properties, so underutilized, underperforming properties. And the idea was to environmentally assess these properties to see if any conditions truly existed, do conceptual planning in hopes to market and develop these properties for the future. 2 projects that I can say has worked has been the Gish Mill project, was a beneficiary of this assessment grant, as well as the hotel properties. And so we're nearing the completion of that 3-year cycle. However, we have asked for a 6-month extension as we're completing the final phase of assessments on the dry cleaner site that's adjacent to the hotel. So once we just needed a few more months to finish that up, and we'll have expended all $300,000. And we do anticipate applying for another round of EPA assessment grants next year. So fall of 23, we would anticipate having another application ready to go in hopes of getting some additional funds, because this has been very beneficial. These are things that doesn't have to come out of the owner's pocket, that doesn't come out of the town or taxpayers' pockets. This is coming from the federal agency, and it really helps us move projects forward. So not only those 2 projects that we mentioned that are actually moving, there's been a number of projects that we've been assessing and doing conceptual planning for that have yet to materialize, but there's very promising projects as a result. So this has really been a great benefit for us. So just wanted to give you a little update where we are on those 2 grants, and that concludes my report this evening. Thank you.
Pete, thank you very much for that. If I could just comment briefly on what you just mentioned about the Brownfields grants, what a great economic development tool that is for us. That's a great way that the town can assist prospective buyers of properties and everything. So if anyone has questions about what we do to help attract new business, that's a biggie, because that can be very expensive to have that sort of thing done. I heard you mention some $300,000 figures. Of course, I'm sure that's for several properties, but still, that's huge, and that's a big assistance to anyone that's considering property here in Benton. So thank you.
Sir.
Thank you a lot. Good report. Okay, and with that, we'll move on to our reports from the committees. Public Works Committee, Bo?
Mayor, members of council, again, good evening. We had a Public Works Committee meeting on July the 27th, talked about numerous things. First of all, we talked about, which is kind of weird for us, I guess, but chicken ordinance. Came up with some different ideas. I think at one time that it's currently a $35 a year permitting fee, 6 chickens per lot of land. And I think we've recommended maybe going to a $25 one-time fee other than a yearly fee, and no required lot size. With that being said, that'll have to go through a planning commission. Signal lights update, since next week is the 3rd week of the month. We're looking to have the signal lights in place, installed by the end of August. I am meeting with a contractor on Thursday to talk about how we can get you through one light and get you through the whole town. So hopefully he's got some ideas. He done some work for Roanoke City, and that seems to work pretty good. So if he can do that for us, then that'd be great. Hardy Road street lights along. So Hardy Road, basically from Bypass Road to the town limits down by the Greenway down there, 17 lights. That process is moving pretty good. We have placed the order, we have mailed the check, and parts are in stock. So we're looking at somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks to have that installed.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
we've been working on that quite a while. Mountain View Road project, I think we're still going, looking at the boring samples, and trying to make a plan on how we can work on Mountain View, make it better. And I will present this in my paving slideshow here in a little bit, but Mountain View Road, we are going to do some patching during our paving season, basically from Shalon Circle to the town limits, both lanes. We're going to patch and pave, put some base in, and it'll be a whole new section there. And then right there at Ramada Road, there's a bad spot, and we're going to do about 1,300 foot there. Again, we've talked about this earlier tonight, the Garthwright Bridge project. Of course, everything's been bidded out, accepted. We're scheduling a pre-construction meeting in the next couple of weeks, looking to start that project about the 1st of October, is what our plan is right now. It's not going to affect, the work will be done at night. The road closures will stay, the traffic control will stay in place throughout the day, and basically at certain points of the project, as you're going out of town, 2 lanes will be open. As you come into town, only 1 lane will be open, another lane will be closed, and that'll change as the project goes through. And we're looking at probably, we're hoping to get the project done in 60 days, but it might take up to 90 depending on weather and stuff like that. So shouldn't be a big impact. Another thing that we talked about is the utility transfer, where we transferred the water and the sewer to the Western Virginia Water Authority. That has went very well. We have worked with them. They've contacted us a couple of things about some things, some knowledge, so that's worked out real well. We've not had a lot of phone calls, and I think maybe we've kind of put like a phone tree in, so when you call down to Public Works and you have a question about your water, we give them an option to call straight to the Water Authority, and then another option to ring our office. I think maybe, as of maybe yesterday, we might have had 3 calls total since we've done the transfer.
Wow.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so-
That's great.
Next thing we talked about is striping. We talked about that earlier. Striping the whole town. We made a contract. I met with the contractor, went and reviewed some of his work. It's a guy that done some work for us in the past. I want to make, I've got some, I've talked to some people at VDOT, some other paving companies. They recommended him again. I went and looked at some of his work through Roanoke County. He's spot on. He does a good job. He's got some good equipment, got some good employees. So how this will work is he'll come in September, and he will stripe the whole town, every road we have, every double lane, every stripe, dotted line, every stop bar will be in this project, and hopefully go on an every 2-year cycle to do this. It's been a while since we've done some striping, probably 3 or 4 years. It fades out pretty quickly. Yeah. We have, there's a lot of traffic that comes through the town and wears it out pretty quick. So he will, I'm looking forward to get that done. Paving update. I've never done this before, so we'll see how
I
this
think
goes.
you got to turn it down on the side. See the little knob? Yeah. And if you click it forward, it should come up.
Point it towards you.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. So our paving contract. This is a big year for us. Again, $1.1 million, just about. A total of lane miles of 7.8. We have 88 lane miles in the town, if y'all didn't know that. It was kind of crazy. So 7 miles of lanes being paved. This is our list, starting at Ruddle. And of course, y'all can see y'all where we're going. And that's both lanes going north and south and east and west on all these streets.
Oh,
Nice.
And then ending up with Vineyard. We tried, this year we did something different where we kind of went from different sections of the town where we did like a street in one neighborhood and went to another neighborhood. So to save us in costs, we tried to do like 1 or 2 close by neighborhoods so they wouldn't charge us for moving the equipment, so it keeps it there. So that helped us on some saving. Paving's expensive. I mean, so 7 miles and $1 million. And so, but it'll be good. So, any questions about the paving?
Not this paving, but just, I think I asked before too, but as they continue, it continues to even get like worse really, but like all the gas lines being replaced and all, like back in, and they're moving all on, I guess the whole town's gonna be replaced eventually.
Yeah.
Do they go back again and like repave all, because clearly we have a schedule and none of those roads that they're working on now are gonna be repaved for quite some time, and the patch job that they're doing is not great, but I understand they're gonna come back and they're just gonna, or patch it again, or are they gonna come back and pave those roads for us?
So how this works out is I go to a quarterly meeting with, it's called a Roanoke Utility Coordinator meeting, and it's people from Roanoke Gas, Verizon, AEP, water authorities, all the powers to be in a local area. So we meet and we talk about our projects. So I get a list of projects that the gas company per se, or Cox or Verizon, or now with Glow Fiber coming in and Centel, and what their projects are. So I built our paving list around outside of their projects. So they're not coming in and tearing up
what we just paid.
Yeah, what we just paid. So I know what they're doing in advance, so I'll push some roads back. Prime example is Cleveland Avenue. I had it on this year's schedule. That needs it really bad, but I knew that the water authority at some point was going to come in fairly soon and do some work there, so we took that off the list. So there is a meeting, and then we talk about things like that, which is a big help.
And Keith, I think to answer your point is, as the gas lines are being replaced, those will be more heavily prioritized in next year's paving schedule, in hopes that we can go back and not just be patches was what the gas department's going to do. And there may be multiple times that they patch the same line. As it properly settles, they come back in and patch it again, and then eventually we'll hopefully in fairly short order be able to catch the majority of those streets in the upcoming paving schedule.
Yeah, because that's about, I don't know, all back through there.
Yeah, that's a lot.
7 miles.
He's doing that work.
Yes.
Or more.
Yes, and I've been working very closely with him as well. We've been meeting once a week.
I mean, they're excellent. They're doing great work. I mean, and I don't know I know what they're doing. I see them doing it. And but they're not pavers. I understand. So I guess that's my whole thing is,
they have a paving crew. That's all they do is patchwork.
Right.
And paving and patching is two different things. What makes it look so bad is, so when you go down your street now, you look at gray pavement and black patchwork. Yeah. But if you go back in 6 months, it's all the same color.
Well, right, but it's not a little more bumpy where it's been like repatched versus where it's been paved. And I guess that's my point, is the roads are a little rough after they've patched it, and like Pete said, they do settle a lot, so I guess they'll just continue to patch those until those roads get on our paving schedule.
Yeah, and if we see an issue, we just call them, I'm just like, hey, look, Clearview Road is sinking in some spots, you can come fix it, and they're pretty spot on.
Yeah, okay.
And just to add one last comment to the paving cycle, we did some analysis just to kind of see where we were in our 88 lane miles. And we're somewhere between 40 and 45% of our roads have been paved in the last 5 years, including this year. So we're on a pretty good pace. We had a lot of catch up to do, but the last couple of years you've made some serious investment as revenues have allowed us to invest in our paving and catching up. So with this substantial investment, what we've done the last couple of years, we had some additional appropriations. We're approaching 50% of our roads being paved, and if we can maintain that type of schedule over the next 5 or 6 years, most of the roads would never need touched every 10 years. You know, some of our primary roads certainly would, but some of our secondary neighborhood roads, those are, in some cases, can last 20-plus years. So if we can get caught up in the next 5 years and get every lane mile have been touched, including the ones that have had utility cuts, you know, a lot of our roads, the conditions they're in is because of utility cuts, and not all of them are town utility cuts. Some of them, as Bo's mentioned, have been Roanoke Gas or Verizon or others who've done some work there. And so there's some bright news ahead as we're able to make these investments because of revenues that we've realized primarily from new businesses. You know, we have not, you have not raised taxes, you have not, you know, increased the burden on our residents. This has been derived from other businesses that we've recruited to town in order to be able to accomplish some of these things. So these are great things that citizens can actually visibly see and get the benefit from. And Bo's done a lot of work to do the analysis and prioritize these roads. And, you know, it's unfortunate we can't get everybody's road this year, you know, or even next year. But you know, I can tell you the ones who have received it the last couple of years have been very appreciative. This will be certainly a great step in the right direction. And you know, again, we're going to get to you. It's just we do have a method and we do have a prioritization schedule, and certainly utility cuts, fresh utility cuts, are something that help us rank those. So we'll be moving it ahead.
The smart asphalt people say that a brand new paved road will last. You should pave it every 10 to 15 years.
What kind of people are they again?
The smart asphalt people. So we did a study a few years ago, probably, I guess it was about 6 years ago. It was called Roadworks, I believe it's what it was called. And we had an assessment done of all our streets. And they rank them in a excellent, good, and fair, and poor condition. So 6 years ago, to put our roads in a good state of affair, it was going to cost us $17 million. And that's not paving every road. That's, you know, that's paving, milling, crack sealing, doing some slurry seal, just different methods. But I mean, it's going to take about $17 million to put all our roads in a good state of affair. A lot of times too, you know, even though that we're small and we condense, and you know, still in 3.2 square miles, and you think of 88 lane miles, there's a lot of roadways in the town. One of the roads that's on this list, we had a lady call and said, my road ain't been paved since 1972. And I said, there's no way. I can't believe that. So I rode up there, and she's probably right. But there are streets on the list, and so yeah, we're getting there. So we're a whole lot better now than we were, for sure.
All right. Yeah, good news. Thank you, Bo.
Well, I got one more. This is probably not on the list.
All right.
So since we do not have the water and the wastewater no more, we're able to tackle some pretty good projects. And my guys, you know, Jason's here. He's my #1 draft pick for sure. He heads up a lot of this stuff for me.
You get paid for that? You got paid for the big #1 draft pick.
Yeah, he got a good signing bonus.
Don't sign the first contract.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's still working on it. His agent's gonna call me tomorrow. So we had 2 storm repairs. And I don't want to call them major, but there was a lot of work involved. And the first one that we did, this happened right before 4th of July weekend. We got a call, there was a hole in the road. We went in there, as I was going through the storm drain. So we went over and investigated. So this is Maple as it was before we went over there and had fun. So we cambered the sewer, and the whole bottom of the pipe was collapsed. It's the one of the whole road didn't fall in. So this is the start of it, where we doing the excavation and digging around manholes, and so this is our start as we went on. This is where Jason really had tons of fun. We had to rent some equipment, and I don't know if you ever seen the show Gold Rush. That's what it kind of reminds me of. They dig real deep, picked out a lot of money. So we dig real deep, and it cost us a lot of money. This is the pipe that we put across. This was 60 foot of 48-inch corrugated pipe. The interesting thing about this project was, see, there's a water line that ran through there. I mean, if I go back a slide, and this first slide to the left, that water line ran through that manhole. Matter of fact, when we climbed down in that manhole, there was a water clamp on that manhole.
There's 3 of them.
There's 3 of them. So what we did was we was able to move that manhole, and I'll show you in a slide here in a second, that we was able to move that a little bit closer out of the street, and then to get that out of there to protect that water line a little bit better. So like again, it's 60 foot of 48-inch pipe. This is the bank side, opposite side of Buster's on Maple. Jason worked with the contractor that does the manholes and wing wall. He designed all these wing walls and drew it and measured them out, and he sent it to the guy and said, "This is what I want." So this is what we came up with. So that's a new wing wall that's there in the bottom. This sidewalk went over. It's kind of like a bridge in a way, so we had to redo all that. So we did all that sidewalk through there, put in a new structure to hold that bridge up, or walkway up. We still need to put a handle right there. There's gonna be a railing right there that's been contracted out. That should be getting installed in the next week or so. So that's about the only thing left we have on that project. Again, finished work. We came in and graded all the roads. That's where we moved that manhole over to closer to the fence. And then I had CJ Paving coming in, and they did the patchwork for us. That's a little bit too big for us, but
Wow.
on this one side, on this left slide, we had to remove some trees. Bartlett came in for us, removed some trees for us so we can have some more room to, because it was, it was hurting the bank and stuff like that, so give us some more room to work. So at the end of the day, that project turned out real good.
Bo, talk a little bit about how you're able, without the water and sewer utility, once you arrive on site, you're able to stay on site, and how more cost efficient that is.
All right, okay, can I get to there?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thanks. This is our second project that we did. Right after this, we just moved down a block. We went to, this is Madison and North Poplar. So we had a same thing, sinkhole. We went in and cambered it. The whole bottom of the pipe was rusted out. And this is us starting the excavation. This is that big excavator that Jason likes to, he wants me to buy one. So I'll see what I can do on that.
Appreciate it.
So we started digging everything up. Again, so this is a big area. This was drain pipe. We decided to go back with box culvert because that's where a lot of this is. That's coming to here is box culvert, so we wanted to kind of go back with that other than pipe. We felt like that was going to be a better structure for us. It would last a little bit longer. So this is us digging everything out, putting everything to grade. We brought in a crane, so it was 5 6-foot sections of box culverts that we had to put in. Each piece weighing 11,000 pounds. So,
actually, it was one 7-foot and the other ones were 5'9".
okay.
And
I told you, draft pick.
Right around 27,000 pounds.
Per
So it was
piece?
actually too much for the truck, so it delayed us on time.
Wow.
That wood, that's special push oak right there. So they put that there to take the bucket and smash it up against the next one. Like a, I don't know,
I wish.
a 50,000 pound hammer, basically. This is the top of, goes into the culvert, and so what goes on top of that will be, of course, there's a manhole there, gravel, and we're going to put some seed and straw, some topsoil, some seed and straw on it to make it look a little bit better. For both projects combined, these are the costs. So material and supplies is a little over $46,000. Contractors, which was CJ Paving, CT Jameson.
CT Jameson.
Did the concrete work, and Bartlett. The rental of equipment, which was the excavator, and then it took us about 6 weeks. So to go back to what Pete was saying earlier, in the past, when we do projects like this, when we had the water and sewer, it seemed like every time we got going, we'd have to stop that project and go fix a water break. So if we was still under that restraint, I guess, this project probably would have took us every bit of 12 weeks.
Wow.
So,
And that's additional equipment rental?
right, yeah.
That's a lost time and transport,
Yeah.
and
But I mean, we rented that equipment for 6 weeks, so that easily could have been 16,000.
Wow.
Both of these, from what I'm thinking, I don't have an exact number, but this, what I've done in the past, so you see our numbers here, this project probably would have, if we had it contracted out, would have doubled.
No kidding. Wow.
So, just wanted to share that with you. We're thankful that we're out of the water business. This gives us more time to do projects like this. We have we have a young staff, but I got, starting with Jason is our lead guy, and he's very talented at what he does, and he's very good on, training and explaining to the guys, what our purpose is, what we have to do, and how we get there. So he keeps everybody on track. So good crew that we work with, our guys are spot on. They like doing things like this. This is interesting. This is interesting work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Sure is. It's interesting to see. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
I love pictures. I like visual stuff. That's great.
Yeah, that was awesome, and you're right. I think there's a lot of benefits that we will see because our folks can specialize in their work. They can just stick to what they can do best and not be interrupted and stuff like you were saying. So there's I think a lot of hidden benefits to letting the professionals do the water and sewer, and our professionals do their stormwater and stuff like that. And I know we do have some stormwater challenges around town. So there's going to be, plenty out. Nita's saying, yes, we do. So there's going to be plenty of that to be done. So that's a great report. Way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bub.
Thanks, Bub.
Good stuff, though.
Yeah,
Thanks.
very good. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, have a good night.
I had to wait till last, but good stuff.
Yeah, it is. All right, council, it's your turn. If you have anything further, Councilman Lyles?
I do not. Looking forward to hot, sunny weather. That feels like, what do they call this? It's Augstober. Like that. That's what this is called. It's, you think August is really hot, and now for the next 2 weeks it's in the low 70s. So nice, very nice.
I was going to say, I'll take it.
Yeah, very nice.
Although it may not be too good a time to sell lemonade, I don't know. Ma'am, you have anything further?
I do. Andrew, welcome to the family. Look forward to hearing the next report from you. Not that you don't do a good job, Cody.
I'm looking forward to handing it off.
The chief said something today at the police party that we had. He said something about your why and starting with your why. I'm not sure if you guys are reading that book, but I've read that book, and you're going to find it very beneficial. It is great. We've done that at work, and we talk about it all the time. So that was great to hear that. And then for you to bring it up today was just awesome. And of course, I have to give a shout out to my restaurants. And this time, we got a delicious pizza from Big Belly's, and was able to enjoy Dogwood, the Dogwood with several of my closest friends. So
All right.
it was very, very good. So highly recommend you go there.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you, ma'am. You have anything further, sir?
I'm good.
All right. Under the mayor's section, just a couple of things real quick. Chief, I don't know if I've got a chance to thank you for the National Night Out or not, but it was a lot of fun, very well organized, and I thought we had a nice crowd and everything, a lot of fun. I think it's an important activity for our community so that we can all gather and just really important. So thank you for doing that every year. And also, while I'm talking about the police department, I want to thank you for the opportunity to attend the promotions gala party this evening. As Councilman Lyles mentioned earlier, it's a real family affair, but it really pointed out the quality of individuals that you've been able to hire. So that speaks a lot about your leadership and our department in general. So really, really encouraging evening. So thank you for that. I'd like to mention just real briefly, I'm not sure, and I see the time, so I'll be brief, that everyone's aware, but when you get elected to council, you don't just show up a couple of times every month. Every council member is expected to serve on town committees. Usually the council members serve on 2 committees, such as finance or public works, or there's a whole bunch of committees. In addition, council members are asked to serve on a regional committee, such as RBTV and TPO and stuff, and regional commission, stuff like that. So our council members stay busy and they work hard. Of course, we have a great staff that prepares us for all this stuff. So I just wanted to pass along that our council members do more than just show up on a couple Tuesday nights a month. And they're always prepared and encouraged by our staff, so we appreciate that. One last thing, if you will allow me some time. I received a letter from Molly Harlow, Assistant Director, Leadership Development at Virginia Institute of Government at the Weldon Cooper Center for Public Service. And if I can read this just briefly, I would appreciate it. This letter is to certify that Richard Peters, Town Manager, Town of Vinton, participated in the 2022 Executive Institute program. This intensive 2-week leadership development program was delivered by Virginia Institute of Government on behalf of the Weldon Cooper Center. The participants receive an equivalent of 80 hours of university graduate level instruction while completing the SEI course. That's SEI. In addition to classroom sessions, SEI engages participants in small groups and team building activities. Participants wrestle with tough issues such as dealing with mayors, no, I just threw that in, and experience with new ideals. The major areas of the focus of leadership, focus include leadership style, team building, and the use of strategies for professional, personal, and organizational community development and leadership. Participants explore ways to create high-performing organizations that includes communication skills and development of action plans. It goes on to point out that SEIs prepare the participants for challenges that they can use back home, and they are taught to turn organizations into continuous learning communities. It also mentions that democratic ideals are included in the program. So long story, somewhat shorter. Very, very proud of Mr. Peters for completing the SEI Institute. I know it was an intense time for you, a time away from your family, and perhaps some challenges, but congratulations, we're really proud.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, yes, thank you very much. Okay, and with that, we will check, make sure, is there anything else to come before council meeting this evening? Well, this is kind of like the old days.
I know.
Yeah, I know. It was a long council meeting. If there's nothing further, we'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying home, by going home. Thank you, folks.